Hey everyone, DFA here, welcome back to the channel, and this is part number 6 of the Complete Destroyers Guide, and we're taking a look at the Yugumo and what I called trick plays. So essentially, what do I mean by trick plays? Well, if you consider destroyers, they're the only class in the game that does not deal its damage immediately. So they're shooting torpedoes. These torpedoes, they travel relatively slowly compared to shells. And so yeah, you practically have to fool your opponents into some kind of a false sense of security, or actually so that they keep traveling in a straight line very nicely, so your torpedoes can actually hit their targets, because there is only so much you can anticipate. And so this section of the guide is going to be dedicated to that, and I'll be showing you examples of what I mean by trick plays using the Yugumo, and you will see why in the stats section, because that's pretty much the only thing you have at your disposal. So this is a good example. We have a battleship going towards A. I'm followed by a battleships and a cruiser, and yeah, you see that that battleship is certainly going to enter the cap, and I am not entering the cap myself. I do not want to let that battleship know that I'm actually there waiting for him, because if I get into the cap, that would send a clear signal that there is a destroyer there and potentially torpedoes, and I do not want that battleship to change course. I want him to basically think that, yeah, you know what, let's go ahead and let's duel my team, and as you can see, he's about to have a wonderful game. Yep. Ouch, this is going to hurt. So yeah, it's not an ideal way to start a battle, but yeah, that's what I call making trick plays. And now I can actually reverse into the cap, load some HE shells, and try to set him on fire and finish him, which we end up doing a few seconds later. So there you go, this is what I mean by trick plays. It's all about being a little bit trickier than your opponents and luring them into a false sense of security so you can actually deal your damage. Let's take a look at Yugumo before we dive into a complete gameplay. And here we have the Yugumo, and it's your typical tier 9 ship, which actually means that it's a minor upgrade over the tier 8, but you're meeting tier 10s a lot of the time, and those are major upgrades. So playing the Yugumo is actually pretty tricky, because what are you getting? You're getting an extra smoke from the Kagero, but 2 smokes at tier 9, there is absolutely nothing special about this. You still have crap hit points, your speed is not great, the maneuverability is average, concealment is excellent, so that's pretty good for making trick plays, that's why we'll be using it. Guns DPM, it's pretty average, turret rotation, it's still bad, something you want to improve with your equipment setup. And the torpedoes, so yeah, they now deal 5000 damage, but it is still a minor upgrade over the Kagero, and your DPM is actually nothing special anymore. So yeah, it's not a great ship, and obviously no AA, but you know that by now. And so we're back into a complete gameplay where I will be illustrating a few things you can do to actually trick your opponents using the Yugumo. So we've seen it's not a great ship. Yeah, it's really not great. You do have a pretty good torpedo range and a good concealment, and that's about it really, because yeah, the rest it's not going to save you. So as always, we do not try to flank to go around the map, we go to the nearest cap, and we actually want to stay there for some time. Yeah, what do we have? So we have a cruiser behind us, another DD next to us, a Halland, so that's actually pretty good. The cruiser is a bot, so yeah, we cannot rely too much on it, but it looks like a battleship is actually coming in our direction, so that's pretty good. And we want to get into that position to get some early spotting on the enemy team and see what's actually waiting for us at sea. So yeah, as always, you try to scout for your team at the beginning of the battle, you try to see what's in front, and then you decide what is best for you. Here it's a bot Shimakaze. Let's remove it from the game as quickly as possible, because this thing can actually keep us spotted. And we do have a Zao right in front, Zao, so yeah. It's not a target we can actually engage, it's not going to go very well for us. So we're going to stay in the cap, but we're going to get hidden. And we're looking at the minimap, and we see that we have a battleship coming in front of us. So practically, the enemy Zao has 3 options. He can either push me, but then he knows that he's going to eat my torpedoes at short range, so he's not going to do that, probably going to send a couple of torpedoes my way. He can actually rush the other DD in the cap, but yeah, that's not a good idea, and he gets flooded by the Halland. And so what I'm going to do, because he's not going to pursue, he's actually turning back, I'm simply going to remain in my position and wait for him to quietly appear in front of me. So I am not engaging, I'm remaining concealed, I am simply trying to be the biggest asshole I can be, and there you go. So yeah, let's see what that Zhao has in mind. Yeah, remaining concealed, not engaging with the guns, and just tricking him into a false sense of security. Yes, you can retreat, my friend, don't worry, you can get away absolutely fine. And the good news is he's already been flooded, so that's amazing for us, because it means we can flood him again and surely send him to the bottom of the sea. So we have done what we needed to do here, and now it is actually time to go back to B to see how we can actually help our team. So the Zhao hits 6 torpedoes and he's flooded, so he's surely going down this time, and yeah, there is not much for us to do here. We've actually secured the northern part of the map, and now it's time to help the team at B. So we do have 1 DD, 1 cruiser and 1 battleship on the enemy team. The game is looking pretty good for us, but practically our cruiser is in a pretty bad situation with the whole enemy team charging him, and our battleship is not going to be able to help for a moment. So it's between us, the Haaland, and the Goliath. So it's a 3 versus 3 at B. What I really want to do actually is to remove the enemy DD. So if I can get shots at it, I will take them, because this is the only thing that can actually keep us spotted. And yeah, if I get rid of him, I will be able to dictate the engagement with the other enemy ships, reposition myself remaining concealed, and that is amazing. So yeah, the Buffalo, it's a cruiser, but it's only a damage dealer. It really doesn't have anything that can detect me or my torpedoes, so I'm pretty confident. And what I'm going to do, the Duncan knows I'm here. He knows I'm here, so he's going to, obviously he's going to dodge my torpedoes. And I'm not going to fire all of them, I'm only going to fire 1 salvo. I want him to let him think that he's actually dodged everything I had to give for whatever reason, and I want him to feel safe while I'm actually sending the second salvos of torpedoes. So he's just been flooded. By the time my torpedoes reach their target, they should be able to flood him again, and now I simply want to disengage from that Buffalo and go concealed as well. So again, it's all about giving that false sense of security. There you go, we flood the Duncan again. So it's all about giving that false sense of security that, you know, I've just shot my torpedoes, I am completely useless for another minute or so. So there you go, Mr. Duncan, you can resume what you were thinking about doing. No, absolutely not. So when enemies know that you are there, do not fire all your torpedoes right away, keep 1. At the very least, you will keep the enemy from pushing you, because they might actually know that you still have a torpedo salvo waiting for them. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind. Do not put all your eggs into one basket. And sure enough, the Duncan gets flooded again, this time by the Haaland, and suddenly the game is actually looking pretty good for us. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the island between me and the Buffalo, because I simply do not have the hit points to be able to dodge him. And I'm going to use one of my smoke screen to finish the Duncan, because yeah, it's one of your few assets with the Yugomo, and the Duncan cannot do anything against me, so why not use it, right? And finally we will have to deal with the Buffalo. How do we do that? Well, yeah, he has 2 options. He can actually YOLO us. That's not recommended, because I'm in an ideal position to be sending torpedoes in its face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a little to hide myself, because I'm not in a position to be taking a full salvo. And it does seem to be traveling in a comfortable pattern, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him know that I'm not chasing him. I'm completely ignoring him, and I'm going for the cap instead. So it's the exact opposite move as to what I did in the intro. I want him to think that I'm completely ignoring him, and I'm instead focusing on on capturing the zone, and let him go. Yeah, so we do manage to get 2 hits, which honestly was not a bad outcome, because yeah, trying to hit a cruiser getting away from you, really not easy with those things. So there you go, that was the trick place part. Let's talk a bit about the Yugumo now. So the Yugumo, is it fun? Relatively, you can still have fun. You've seen in that video, honestly, that gameplay was pretty amusing to me, but there are plenty of very frustrating situations where you really feel useless. And I don't think it's as beginner friendly as the others, because you are simply outclassed and outgunned by a lot of ships you're actually facing. Free-to-play friendly, it's still a super free-to-play friendly line. Don't need a camo, don't need a super commander. You see me just using the ship there, absolutely vanilla. So overall rating 2 stars out of 5. It's not going to be your worst tier 9 grind, but it's certainly not a ship you will want to play again once you are done with the grind to the Shimakaze, which we will be talking about in the next iteration. And believe me, this will be a great one as well. So I hope you really enjoyed these few examples of trick plays. I hope you really learned a couple of super interesting things. I will be seeing you soon for the Shimakaze guide. In the meantime, stay safe, take care. That was DFA signing out. Bye bye.